Crisis on Infinite Films, brought to you by All2ReelToo podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of All2ReelToo. My name is Michael E. Cullen II, and with me as always is my co-host.
You could just say my name.
It's Matthew Haas.
Yeah.
Matthew the Haas.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it means rabbit, actually.
Okay. Rabbit?
Yeah.
So you're Matt the Rabbit?
Mm-hmm.
Matt it?
Yeah.
Mabbit?
It's Germanic for rabbit or hare.
Okay.
Yep.
So, anyways, today we are covering one of the greatest films ever made. It is a movie that kind of started off the whole Marvel movie business. It also stars an Academy Award-winning actor. It indirectly started Pixar. It also has a convicted sex offender in it.
Yes.
Yes, we are talking about Howard the Duck. Woo!
Howard the motherfucking Duck.
So anyways, this is the first movie here in our little series of the not so marvelous films of Marvel, or something like that I'm going to call it. I don't know yet. Anyways, if you're not familiar with Howard the Duck, I highly recommend you go see it now because it's the greatest Marvel movie ever made.
It's better than like Endgame or anything like that.
Yeah. Better than Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Better than Iron Man.
Civil War.
Yes.
This is like the pre-MCU, but it's better than the MCU.
Yes. And I mean it's even better than the Fox Marvel movies. Like it's better than that Fantastic Four movie that came out a couple years ago.
Everything's better than Fantastic Four movies, but
and then it's better than how Dark Phoenix looks, and it's better than okay, we're lying.
Yep.
So, Howard the Duck. Yes, the first feature-length film based on a Marvel property. Produced by George motherfucking Lucas.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like when George Lucas was hot.
This was like 3 years after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, this is when he could do no wrong. This is pre-Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah.
George Lucas.
This is like after Temple of Doom. And they even have a little joke there, too, about the Breeders of the Lost Stork.
Yes.
Poster in Duck Howard's apartment on his
I think
phone.
I'd rather watch that movie.
Yeah, me too.
That'd probably be good.
Oh, so many duck puns in this movie.
Yeah.
I couldn't even write them all down.
Yeah. They exaggerated a lot.
Yes.
Wait. It's ducking ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
Mother ducking, there you go.
yeah. I was about to go quackers. Anyways, this great movie was based on the Howard the Duck character created for Marvel by Steve Gerber. It was directed by Willard Hewick. Written by Willard and his wife, Gloria Katz, who was also a producer on the film. They were friends of George Lucas that he hired to do this movie. And so, okay, a little history here. You know, this film, Lucas had the rights back in the 70s. Kept trying to convince some studio to do it. He was under contract to make this movie. But he was under contract to make a live-action movie. He originally wanted this to be an animated film.
So he was trying to make this since the 70s?
Well, he wasn't trying to make it, but he had the rights. He liked the character a lot. And so after the success of the Star Wars and Indiana Jones films, he decides to produce this and hires his friends to write it, but under his contract with Universal, who had kept trying to... Universal was pissed off because they had passed on both Indiana Jones and Star Wars. So they thought, hey, we definitely got to get in bed with George Lucas now. Because whatever he does next is just going to be brilliant. It's going to be the greatest franchise ever. There's going to be like a dozen of these movies. Yeah, just like eggs.
Yeah.
Where you get a dozen. Oh, wait, no.
No,
anyways,
there was one movie.
Yes. And, yeah, he made this movie. And, so at the time, everybody's like, oh, he can do no wrong, so we're going to do this. But it was originally going to be an animated film. But for some odd reason with his contract, he was contractually obligated to make a live-action movie. And Universal insisted this be a live-action movie. It may have actually worked as an animated film with better writers. Would have maybe been a little bit more believable or something, because you can get away with more things in animation than you can in live action, in my opinion.
Yep.
Yes, and film stars the very sexy Leah Thompson.
From Back to the Future.
Yes, and Caroline in the City and other things. The Academy Award-winning actor Tim Robbins.
Best role ever, really.
Yes. I don't know why he didn't win an Academy Award for this movie, And sexual predator Jeffrey Jones. Registered sex offender Jeffrey Jones. The guy who tried to get a 14-year-old boy to send him naked pictures, Jeffrey Jones.
Who failed 2 times to register and then got arrested
again
for not registering in Florida and then another state or whatever.
Jeffrey Jones.
Yes. Which
the principal Rooney from from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
That's right.
Yes.
And also, the greatest film of all time, Stay Tuned.
Oh, yes, he wasn't that.
With what was the guy's name?
With John Ritter.
Yeah.
Yes, that is actually a really good movie. It's a bad movie, but I enjoy it for some reason. Anyways, it's not. When I say really good, I mean it's really better than this movie.
It's fun to watch.
Yes,
basically. The Wheel of Misfortune.
Yeah,
that was funny.
So, this film was nominated for several awards. Razzie Awards, that is. It won 4. It's since gained a cult following, but is considered to be one of the worst movies ever made. Yeah, Lucas had proposed adapting the comic book following the production of American Graffiti back in 1973. And after multiple production difficulties and mixed response to test screenings, Howard the Duck was released in the theaters on August 1st of 1986. Upon its release, it was a commercial and critical failure.
I can't imagine why. I mean, it was perfect in every single way.
It was brilliant, man.
All the quotes that didn't make any sense. There was no context to them. They were just like throwaway lines that like someone had heard once, and they're like, "Oh, this fits in this conversation somehow." It doesn't, but let's do it anyway. Like, what was Tim Robbins' line? I could have been a contender. Contender at what? Like,
yeah, let's just quote On the Waterfront for no fucking reason whatsoever.
You're not talking about competition of any kind whatsoever. So it's like I said, it's like me quoting random lines from Angels in the Outfield, the 1994 version, not the 1950s version. But like lines that don't have anything to do with anything that's actually happening. Like, I'm just gonna quote the line, and not even a line that makes any sense. Like, someone ordering a corn dog or something like that. Okay, that makes sense in the context of like a nuclear power plant. I'm gonna
try that in real life.
What?
Just randomly quote movies. Yeah. in situations that have nothing to do with
just
it.
make sure. Yeah, make sure that the context doesn't make sense, and just see how people react.
Like next time I go to a funeral, I'll just automatically just say, here's looking at you, kid.
Yeah,
just
why not
walk up to the condom. The condom. That reminds me. I think that was on my head. That's why. But the coffin is what I meant to say.
Because of the condom.
There's a condom in this movie.
Not wrapped, just in his wallet.
In Howard's wallet.
Not used, fortunately, but just, a loose condom in his wallet.
Can I mention that this movie is PG?
Yes, sure.
There's a lot of adult sexual humor in this film.
Yeah.
That seems to be geared towards kids.
Like I said,
ways.
though, back then it seemed like PG was like they had a little bit more leeway. It seems like in the 80s than they do now.
But regardless, who are you marketing this movie to? You know what I mean? It's like, because if your parents are in the theater and one of the first things they see in the movie is duck boobs,
right? And like the first, 4 minutes of the movie, yeah. And when he gets sucked into the vortex or whatever, because he's in his apartment drinking a beer, watching TV. Then he opens his Play Duck magazine,
and there's duck boobs in that.
There's duck, yeah.
But then when he gets sucked into the vortex or whatever the fuck it is at the beginning of the movie, he goes flying through the other apartments in the apartment complex.
Yeah,
and past an old couple, and then somebody else or something, and then all of a sudden he goes through the bathroom of this woman who is like drinking some Chardonnay and listening to music or something, and is in the bath with her duck boobs exposed.
Not only that, she was kind of like not really pleasuring herself.
It looked like
being
it
kind of sensual, at least.
Yeah,
like kind of just rubbing her chest area. Yeah, this is PG, for kids. So apparently, duck pornography is okay as long as it's not human. It's fine. Apparently, for these movies.
but then later in the film, we get an almost sex scene.
Interspecies.
Yeah, it's like bestiality almost. Between Leah Thompson's character of Beverly and Howard. Anyways, let's get.
She was just kidding, though. She said.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think so. No.
Okay, let's get into the plot.
Okay.
Let's start out a little bit with that, and then we'll.
Yeah. Let's shall.
Yeah. So. Okay, according to Wikipedia, we'll go with their little description of the plot and kind of go through this to kind of explain it to people that don't want to watch the movie, but still want to listen to our lovely banter.
Yep.
And, not to ruffle any feathers here. Anyways, I'm ducking hilarious, man.
Applause sound.
Yes. Yeah, be careful, everybody, because I know quack foo. Anyways, in the movie, 27-year-old Howard the Duck lives on his planet called Duck World, a planet that is similar to Earth, but inhabited by anthropomorphic ducks, and orbited by twin moons, similar to the twin suns in Tatooine on another failure of a film that George Lucas produced. Little movie called Star Wars. Anyways, you might have heard of it. I don't know. It wasn't based on a Marvel comic, so. Anyways, he's reading the latest issue of Play Duck magazine in his armchair, and it begins to quake violently and propels him out of his apartment building and into outer space. Howard eventually lands on Earth in Cleveland, Ohio. Upon arriving, Howard encounters a woman being attacked by thugs. He defeats them using the unique style of martial arts called quack fu.
Is that official that he knew a style called quack fu?
I don't know. I'm just going off what the movie said.
Wow.
That doesn't say that in this description either. I'm just kind of adding that as alliteration.
Oh, okay.
Or as a embellishment. introduces himself to the woman, and she introduces herself, and her name is Beverly Switzler. She decides to take Howard home to her apartment after having about 5 seconds of a freak out of the frickin' fact that it's a talking fucking duck that's like 3 foot tall. Only 5 seconds.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of that going on in this movie.
Yeah.
It's like the initial shock wears off like really quick, and then it's like, oh, this is reality now. Okay.
Yeah. But one thing I want to mention is the two men who try to sexually assault Beverly Switzer in a kids movie.
Like that little quip at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the one point when they see the duck, at one point the one guy says, "I must," something about, what does he say?
He goes, "I've been doing too much toot."
Yeah.
Don't know what that is.
What the fuck is toot?
Apparently some kind of drug, but
Maybe it was a drug. I mean,
it didn't last long, I guess.
I've been in Ohio most of my life. Not too far from Cleveland, here in Toledo where we live. I mean, I remember once when, probably around 1986, being offered drugs by some kids on a corner one time. I think they said, "Do you want any crack?" Do not remember them asking me if I wanted any toot. If anybody out there listening to this podcast right now would like to message me at mike@cullenpark.com or comment in a review of this, if you know what toot is, I'm very curious to know. And I mean, what kind of high does it give you?
Right. What does it do?
Yeah, I mean, do you stick it up your butt because it's called toot?
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know what you do with it.
Suppository. My guess is that its effects are hallucinatory in nature because he's saying it in the context that he's seeing a talking 3 foot tall duck. So my guess is that maybe it makes you see things that aren't real.
Maybe it's another name for acid. I don't know.
Maybe, but we don't know. Apparently, the land of Cleve, or Cleveland, has its own special drug called toot.
So if you live in Cleveland and you're listening to this, and you know what toot is, please message us and tell us.
I bet you it's something really obvious that we can't put together. Like you know what I mean? Like, we're going to figure it out, or someone's going to tell us, and it's like, it's going to be something like, oh, okay.
Either that, or it's just something that the writers of the film decided to create.
Maybe,
for...
Yeah, maybe. Probably that.
What the fuck is toot? Okay, anyways, I think I'm on toot right now. Anyways, the so following that, Howard spends the night at her apartment. The following day, Beverly takes Howard to her friend Phil Blumbert, a quote-unquote scientist who Beverly hopes can help Howard return to his homeworld. Phil is eventually revealed to be only a assistant or janitor at the facility that he works at. Howard then all of a sudden gets pissed off and decides to not take help from anybody ever again.
Yeah. He's gonna be his own man, or his own duck, rather.
Yeah. He goes to apply for a job. We need to talk about this scene really quick here, Matt. Okay. What happens in this scene, Matt?
Okay. He goes to the employment agency of Ohio, or whatever it's called, and he gets this mean, stern, caseworker that's like, "I'm not gonna let you just live off the dole. I'm gonna get you a job." Okay, for one thing, she's a duck. He's a duck. She doesn't seem to notice that.
Yeah.
And the other thing that you mentioned about how identification purposes.
Yeah, I'm not up on government things, and this is another thing. If you want to message us and let us know how, I've never had to apply for unemployment.
Well, he wasn't even applying for unemployment.
Or go to some kind of job agency or whatever the fuck this is. I've never gone to like a job placement place or anything like that. I've just, applied normally and gotten jobs. I mean, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that because that's a good service that we have in this country.
For now.
Yeah. Until it's taken away. Anyways, the thing I'm trying to figure out is, don't you need some kind of identification, some kind of, address, records of something. I don't know how it all works. I'm sure there's some kind of things needed. You can't just walk in off the street looking like a 3-foot fucking duck and get placed into a job.
Like, I'm pretty sure you have to be a human being. But she thinks that he's just trying to look alternative, I think is the word she used.
Yeah.
Like he's just wearing makeup to be punk or something like that. It's like, no amount of makeup in the world is going to make you look like a fucking duck. Like, I'm sorry, but then of course there's like the whole, sexual harassment aspect too, because she bends over at one point and he's like about to like bite
her ass. It's like, what the hell?
And then he ends up biting the paper that she gives him or whatever, like his position, his job or whatever.
It's in a kid's movie, by the way.
And by the way, the job he gets is like some weird sex motel.
Yeah, it's like he's working at what Wikipedia calls a local romance spa, where people are just having sex in hot tubs,
like all over the place, every room.
Yeah, and you see like a scene of somebody, right at the beginning of it, like where you basically see cleavage really well of this actress, and stuff like that. I mean, you almost see her breasts, not as clearly as you see duck tits or whatever you fuck want to call them. Anyways, the
PG.
Yes.
Kids.
Yes. The This is a movie, Matt.
I know. And it was kind of long. It was like an hour and 45 minutes.
Anyways, I think that's a good place to stop for a break really quick.
Sure.
And we'll come back with more of the plot after a word from our sponsors so I can kind of, maybe go eat some quackers.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know.
Or some, I can't think of it, clam chowder. No, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah. Some Quacker Oats.
Yeah.
There we go. We can do this all day, folks.
Yeah.
Make sure you stay tuned. Eventually, we're going to have a Cullen Park podcast just called Puns. Anyways, we'll be right back. Bye.
Hi, folks. This is Michael E. Cullen II from the podcast that you're listening to right now, along with
manager Matthew Haas.
You got promoted?
Yes.
Damn it. Okay. Anyways, folks, do you like the show Superstore? I don't know. I asked the folks and nobody's answering me.
Because they're not here.
Oh,
but we love
damn it. Yeah, we love it, though. Okay, folks, if you like it as much as we do, you're really going to like the Super Story podcast, which is a podcast where Matthew and I go episode by episode and give our little opinions and thoughts on it. Sometimes we have guests, sometimes we don't. Just depends on how we're feeling.
Yeah.
And, so if you like this podcast and like our little crazy banter,
then you should definitely check this out. Or I might get sad. And when I get sad, it gets pretty sad.
Yeah,
so
I can't deal with him when he's sad.
No one can really. So
yeah. So check out Super Story Podcast right here where you get this podcast, Super Story Podcast.
You won't find a better quantum physicist than Dr. Graw Horatio.
How do you do? I am Dr. Graw Horatio, a scientist.
However, like many of us, he's useless without a good cup of coffee.
Thanks to coffee, I can accomplish more in a week than a regular scientist can in a month, with just as many psychotic breakdowns. It's quite economical in the long run.
You can hear Dr. Horatio and his exciting adventures in the upcoming radio comedy, Magus Elgar. Visit MagusElgar.com to download your copy today.
So, those ads were great, weren't they, Matt?
duck sauce, really good stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Duck sauce and eggs.
Mm-hmm. It's good stuff.
Good stuff. I'm going a little quackers here. Again, yep. I think I said that before break. But anyways, so back to the plot of this brilliant film. Should be on the AFI 100 list. Ahead of Citizen Kane, in my opinion. Because when I think of great people in movie history, I think of Orson Welles and Howard the Duck.
Yeah.
Yep. It's too bad they didn't get, Orson Welles to play Howard the Duck. That would have been amazing.
Yeah. All right, so where do we leave off in the plot?
Okay, so basically, after... So, Phil was revealed to be like a janitor, and then Howard got all pissy, and he went to the... We were talking about, I think, the whole thing where Howard went and basically became like a janitor or something himself at a love spa of some sort, and so he quits that job after being treated like shit by the boss, who doesn't seem to realize that he's a fucking duck.
No one does. Well,
he just thinks he's a freak.
Yeah, he makes him clean like all the fucking hot tubs and stuff,
so Howard he quits, and then he rejoins Beverly, who plays in a band called Cherry Bomb. All-girl band, which is funny because the Runaways they had a song called Cherry Bomb, so exactly. I just thought that was interesting. Mm-hmm. Wonder if there was any allusion to that. That was
Cherry Bomb.
And then
sorry,
it's okay.
Copyright infringement. Sorry.
Oh no, it's fine. You didn't sing enough of it.
Okay.
So Howard comes across their manager at the bar, who is basically talking about how he basically wants to sexually assault Beverly later.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That dude.
And so there's a big fight scene that's like very strange. And one of the guys there is also another guy from Ferris Bueller. I think one of the guys that steals Cameron's car.
Yeah,
at that one point. Yeah. When they're from the parking garage. Anyways, a fight breaks out, and then, Howard, of course, wins the fight.
Of course. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Howard the Duck.
He goes backstage and meets the band and joins Beverly and stuff like that. And then Phil comes in and interrupts them with weirdness. He walks in and he's like, "Sorry, girls missed the show, but at least I get to see you undress."
Yeah.
And Phil, by the way, this is Academy Award-winning actor Tim Robbins.
And also, too, to clarify, not that it makes it right anyway, but, like, in some of these movies, like, they had a thing where, like, if a guy was, like, cool and said stuff like that, he'd kind of get away with it. And if a guy was, like, a geek
nerd.
No, he plays, like, a geek and a nerd, and he said that, and they're just like... See, everyone in this movie is, like, oblivious to stuff. It's weird. It's a weird movie like that. Where, like, people just say weird shit that they would never get away with in real life, even if they were cool or not. And then it's just like, like, it's not even an acknowledgement. It's just like something that's in the wind and it just blows away. And it's like, it's a weird movie, man.
And then he, there's this point where, I think they just decided to stop writing dialogue or something, and Tim Robbins just makes some weird noises. He goes,
that's right.
Something like weird.
It's you again. Yeah, he does this weird.
He's like, wiki, or something like that.
I'm gonna take that and just put that on like a 10-hour YouTube loop.
Yes.
Like, they have those 10-hour videos of like a same movie clip or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that one clip where
you should make like a dubstep song about that or something.
I should. Yeah.
Or a techno song, something, something where you just put that in there. Anyways,
Howard the Duck,
you should take that. You should take the song "Howard the Duck" from the end of this movie and then mix it in with that. That'd be awesome. Probably get a lot of views on that.
Maybe.
So, anyways, Phil theorized this idea that he could send Howard back to his home planet with the help of his colleagues, and at one point he ends up taking a feather from Howard with his little tweezers. Mm-hmm. He takes from Howard's tail and basically, in my opinion, assaulted him.
He just ripped it off of his butt.
And then people get pissed at him and kick him out of the club. Then the girls do.
Yeah.
I think he's dating one of the girls too. I can't really tell. It's kind of weird, Phil. I'm not really sure.
Really?
It seemed like it in that scene. Like
Maybe.
It seemed like, I don't know. I was kind of zoning out at that point too.
Yeah,
but,
it was bizarre. I can't wait to get some of these scenes I recorded for quoting.
Oh yeah. So basically, then there is a scene that I can only describe as the most disturbing scene I've ever seen in a film in my life. Where the very attractive Leah Thompson comes on to a 3-foot talking duck.
And she comes on hard too.
Yes.
She says she was kidding. That's no way to kid.
She's talking about wanting to, like she can't find the right man, so maybe she should, try interspecies.
Well, because he flirted with her first.
Yeah,
and then
jokingly,
she
I think.
took it like to a next level, and he got really nervous and uncomfortable. And then
she's flirting with him in her
she's
like in her bra and underwear, and she's about to undress at one point.
And it's like that's a really hard.
And a kids movie, by the way.
Yeah, PG.
Yeah. I mean, this movie is rated the same as some animated Disney movies.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wonder how this got passed. I wonder if anyone even reviewed it. If maybe it was so bad that they're just like, all right, like they saw like the first even the first 5 minutes we saw the duck tits, so there's no excuse for that.
Duck tits.
And like I'm saying too, I know you were saying when duck tits. No, I know you were saying like it was like the apartment was shaking because of the thing, but I think they did that as an innuendo on purpose because
that like he was gonna masturbate.
Well, because he just picked up the Play Duck magazine, and then it went away, and all you could see was like the nightstand shaking at first. So that was my first.
The thing is,
that was my first like feeling on that was
on their planet too. Just want to let you know. I mean, we saw his ID and stuff. His name is Howard T. Duck. Mm-hmm. So his last name is Duck, and he lives on a planet called Duck World. Mm-hmm. But we know that there are people with other last names because, we see these posters with like, W.C. Fowl and stuff like that instead of W.C. Fields. Mm-hmm. So that means that there are people on that planet with other punny last names.
Yeah.
But that would be like my name being Mike Human.
Right. Well, or Mike People. Person.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't.
It's just the way it is on that planet.
Yeah,
I guess.
But
I don't know.
so would that make him more superior than the other ones that are just named other things, and he's actually lives on, but it's Duck World too, because I guess it would be almost like more like my name being Mike Earth.
Right. I don't know. I mean, he's not that superior because even on that planet,
no, he's just a loser.
He quit he quit college.
Yeah, he was going to be a plastic surgeon. Hey, maybe if he would have gone through with plastic surgery, he could have given some other nice duck breasts.
Yeah, he could have augmented that.
Yeah,
but he turned that down to write songs and then stopped doing that and then got some construction job or something like that.
Yeah, he was in a band called Howard and the Heartbreakers.
Really? Is that what he said? Howard?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's another thing for
so does that mean he's the Tom Petty of his world?
I don't know. Don't even say that.
No.
He's the Tony Generous of his world.
If you listen to our other podcast.
Listen to Superstory.
Yeah.
There's a character called Tony. Well, not character, it's a real person, but
yeah. He is a character.
He's definitely not a character.
Yeah.
Well, he is a character. But
yeah.
Anyway, but can I just say one more thing?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So when she found his wallet when he went to sleep the first night,
that
he came the night when he helped fought those guys that were attacking her, his wallet dropped and it had all these stupid puns like Marshington, D.C.
And then a dollar bill with Washington with a bill on his a duck bill.
And there was something else too. Oh yeah,
blooming ducks.
That's right, the blooming
ducks card or something.
There was the condom that was not in the wrapper.
Yeah,
not used, fortunately. as far as I know.
Yeah.
If so, that's disgusting.
But who the hell keeps a condom in their wallet unwrapped? I don't get that.
That's what I'm saying. There's something wrong with this guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
And then in that other in that scene we talked about earlier where Phil comes in and says something about being happy to see them undress or whatever. He's bringing a pizza.
Oh yeah.
And Howard is like, "What's a pizza?"
Right.
So on his planet they have like beer and magazines and movies and apartments, and they all speak English, but obviously they don't have pizza.
No. And they even had the same brand of beer. Didn't you say they had?
Yeah, I think they both had Budweiser in both places.
So Budweiser is a multiversal alcoholic drink apparently.
Yeah.
But pizza only exists on this earth.
But there's obviously no Domino's in their planet or something or whatever. You know, like what the fuck?
I don't know. I don't think they thought that part through.
Yeah.
I think that got lost in the editing process or the writing process, whatever.
Yeah,
Howard
because it's just so weird. There are certain things that like Howard acts like, oh, this is weird. I'm here on Earth, and this is blah blah blah, and this is strange. You know, what's pizza? And then other times it's like everything is normal, and then people are freaking out because he's a duck in some scenes, and then other scenes they just don't even notice that he's a fucking duck.
Yeah, like
there's no consistency.
Like the employment agency lady.
Yeah.
She just thought he was like some punk that was like wearing makeup to look alternative. I'm like, what kind of makeup?
And then there's a scene where he's on the bus before he goes there, I think, and they kick him out because he's a duck.
Yeah, they notice. So the bus people notice he's a duck, but the employment agency
doesn't.
Who he doesn't even produce any identification.
Yeah.
She doesn't notice he's a duck. Or that he doesn't have identification and just gets him a job at some weird sex motel, which is that even legal? But whatever. So I mean,
the sex motel or getting him a job or both?
Well, I'm saying both. But even if he had identification, I'm pretty sure if you work for the state, you can't just hire someone to work at an illegal brothel. But whatever. So it's a movie called Howard the Duck. So
yes, I'm trying to suspend my disbelief.
Yeah, because there's no
So, anyways, right before there's this sex scene between Beverly and Howard, who is the 3-foot talking duck, and Beverly is played by Leah Thompson at her hottest, and is a human.
Yeah,
I'm going to emphasize that again. She's a human.
She's a human. Yeah.
Yeah. On a side note, because of the scene, I played for Matt an interview on Conan. With Zoe Deutsch, who is Leah Thompson's daughter now. You know, she was born after this movie came out, but she said that when she was a kid, she was flipping through the channels and came across this movie, and it happened to be around this scene. And she's like, "My mom's making love to a duck," and then so she had to talk to her parents about it. And her dad's name is Howard Deutsch, but yeah, and she's like, I know my dad's name is Howard. This duck, she basically was afraid that her mom was gonna leave her dad for a 3-foot talking duck. So maybe these scenes where people think that Howard's okay and real, then maybe they were all just having the mind of a child.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know, but yeah, because then she was like worried, and then like her mom says, "Don't watch that movie. It's for grown-ups," and blah blah blah. And then which I don't think the movie was geared towards grown-ups.
No,
but
because it's rated PG. So.
But then when her friends asked her what her parents did for a living, Zoe Deutsch said to them that her mom made adult films.
Yeah, she's an actress in adult films.
So
that was funny.
Yeah,
that was good. I like that.
God, I really hope there's never like a porn parody of Howard the Duck.
Don't even. I'm not gonna look.
No, I wouldn't either.
I'm not even gonna try to look.
No, but
there probably is.
There probably is out there.
There has to be.
Yeah, you'd think so.
Because they'll make.
I mean, this movie has the acting of a porn.
And it has the adult theme sometimes too. Like they'll, they would make that for anything. So especially if like, and that's the other thing too is that like Howard the Duck, apparently like in the comics is like more like sarcastic and more kind of like a sort of like just kind of like a not really mean spirited, like kind of like a grumpy. And in this movie, he's just more of like confused. Like he's not. And
he's not a musician; he's a detective.
Oh, in the comics.
In the comics, he lives on Earth and he's a detective. Yeah. So
yeah, they changed his career then. All right.
Yeah. Anyways, anyways, right before the lovemaking happens, the interspecies lovemaking. They're interrupted by Phil and two other scientists.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they
from,
barge in.
They barge in, and
to an apartment. It's not their own. They just walk in.
but the door was open. They said.
I doubt it was.
But anyways, one of these guys is Dr. Jennings, played by
You gotta say it again.
Registered sex offender Jeffrey Jones. In a stellar performance, by the way.
Oh my
too.
god, this is the best he's ever done.
Uh-huh. Most people might think of him in The Crucible as the character of Thomas Putnam, which I actually played on stage once. But anyways, that's
various Broadway or off-Broadway shows. Nope.
His role is Principal Rooney and Ferris Bueller.
Nope.
The highlight of his career
is Dr. Jennings / the Dark Overlord later.
Yes.
Well, he didn't play him. He got overtaken by him. So.
Yes.
Anyway, we're getting ahead of that.
Oh, spoiler alert.
Yeah,
oh, wait, no.
Spoiler. 33-year-old fucking movie.
So, anyways, basically they figure out that there was a feather that they had in their laboratory at the moment that they were doing some kind of fucking science experiment of some sort, and that feather came flying down at the same time that Howard came flying into that alley at the beginning of the movie. Anyways, so they decide to go back to the lab later on to figure out if they can get Howard back home through their thing. Before they get there, Jennings tested something, and he ends up having something happen where he ends up getting possessed by a dark overlord. But that's a little bit ahead time too. But basically what happens is there's some kind of malfunction when they were doing that, doing some experiment of some sort, but it basically brought down a dark overlord that needed a vessel to live in and chose Dr. Jennings.
For some reason.
Yes.
Not sure why, but
before that happens, there's this whole fight that ensues at the laboratory, and the cops are there and they're trying to get Howard.
For some reason.
Yeah.
I forgot why.
And like the main cop is, by the way, played by I can't remember his name, but his last name is Guilfoyle. I think it's Paul Guilfoyle, who also played the main cop detective on CSI Crime Scene Investigation. Yes.
Yep.
So my theory on this whole thing is that the producers of CSI were big Howard the Duck fans.
I'm sure of it.
And they saw him play a cop in that, and they're like, hey, this guy's good at playing a cop. So we're going to do that. We're going to make him a cop on a #1 rated television show. I mean, they didn't know it was #1 rated at the time. But anyways, so as they're being chased and everything, at one point, a cop falls into a garbage can trying to put out a fire.
No, he like reaches into it.
Yeah, and he basically falls into it.
And then they push him.
Push him into it.
Because Howard threw a lit cigar
in there.
And then the guy was like, no,
and that was like the only reference to a cigar, because in the comic book, Howard is always like with a cigar.
Oh, well, he had a cigar a couple times in the movie.
Did he? Oh, okay.
I think that was when you were zoning out maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't mean to do that. A couple times he had a cigar. It wasn't like all the time, but it was a couple, like for a minute or whatever.
But anyways, they escape, and while they're escaping, there is actually a scene where you hear a cop through who I believe I heard is one of the writers of the movie, if I read this right, playing this cop who says who's like naming off what Howard is. He's like a 3-foot duck, blah blah blah, and everything, and he's like, and he's armed and he's dangerous. And by armed, I mean he has a weapon.
He's like explaining this like
2 cops.
Like in great detail too. Like practically painting a picture.
So, I've never gone to the police academy. I'm pretty sure on day one of the first things they teach you is that when someone is armed, it doesn't mean that they have arms.
No.
That means they have a weapon.
Oh, they have a weapon. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, so when you say somebody is armed and dangerous,
that's what that
doesn't mean that they're just going to punch you.
Okay, good.
It usually means they have a gun.
Okay. And what happened with the trash can cop? What happened with him?
No
is that
clue.
Is that when they said, and I'm quoting, "Bookum ducko"?
Yes.
I've got like 30 of these, by the way.
Oh yeah.
I'm like itching to get to those things later on because these quotes are
good quotes. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that is when Beverly said to Howard, "Book him, ducko."
Yep.
Very topical. Referencing a TV show from the 60s at that point, because this is before the new Hawaii Five-0.
The references make no sense in this
Yeah.
movie. There's like 10 of them that where it's like the whole like contender thing. Like earlier I mentioned that.
Yeah.
It's like
On the waterfront.
You're not
Because my
competing
thing
with
is
anyone, like-
my thing is if you're gearing this movie towards kids in 1986, if that's what you're gearing them towards, I don't know.
Who knows?
First off, why do you have duck tits?
Duck tits, woo.
And then secondly, why do you quote movies like On the Waterfront and TV shows like
the 60s.
Hawaii Five-0? You know,
Exactly.
movies from the 50s and movies and TV shows from the 50s and 60s. Because you know, lots of kids are sitting at home watching On the Waterfront.
Yeah, of course, man.
I don't know if that was in there for the adult audience that they were somehow trying to court, which I don't get that either.
Even then, that's kind of an obscure reference.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Well, the contender one isn't really, but
okay.
yeah, no, it's probably one of Brando's most famous lines
All
after the after the lines from like Godfather and shit. But anyways, so they take off with Jennings, who they don't realize is possessed by the Dark Overlord.
Not yet.
Yeah, basically they think he needs something to eat.
He's telling them in the car. Okay, so
Yeah.
Beverly can tell that he's like sick. He's got like a massive headache.
Yeah.
She makes him drive.
Yeah, that's what they're like, do you have a car? And he's like, yeah. And then they get in the car, and instead of Beverly driving, or maybe even Howard with somebody running the pedals or something.
They make this guy with a migraine.
Yeah, basically what appears to be like at that point a migraine.
Yeah, he's not changing that fast, and he's telling them that he's. Oh, so can I get?
Yeah, go
into
ahead.
this?
Yeah.
So then they, it's the 80s, so they have to throw in like some random transphobia for no apparent reason whatsoever. So he's like, "I'm changing into something else," and then Howard's like, "Great, like a sex change or something." It's like, what?
And it wasn't even funny.
Again, it's like these throwaway lines. Like, what are you talking about, man? Not only are you just like being mean, but like it doesn't make any sense. I don't know, whatever. And then
So they go to a diner.
The diner scene.
A diner called Cajun Sushi. Like I think it's like, I don't know. I can't remember what it was. It was somebody's Cajun Sushi.
Yeah, it was called Kate. It was called.
Yeah, but it was like a name above it, like so and so's Cajun Sushi, whatever it was. It was like, but it looked like an old like 50s diner. But in the diner, everybody's wearing like these bandanas that kind of look like the Karate Kid ones or something in there.
Yeah, that's right.
Which made no sense. But anyways, they're in the diner, and everybody thinks that Beverly and Jennings are like a couple, and that Howard is just their kid in a costume.
Yep.
And then Howard freaks out at one point because they serve him eggs.
Right. He's like, take it away or whatever.
He's like, is it cannibalism or whatever, and blah, blah. And then he like freaks out. And then there's these like random truck drivers who come up, these like Bubba looking truck drivers.
All right. They're like, hey, what are you doing? Here.
Yeah. And they're like, are you duck? And then they grab there's like, oh yeah, there's a key, by the way. There's like an electronic key that goes into the machine that Jennings, basically gives Jennings permission to use the machine, and they need that to use the machine to try to get Howard back home. And they have it, and the truck drivers grab it, and they're like, what is this, your key for your duckmobile?
Yeah,
because that was hilarious,
yeah,
man. That was
the Duckmobile. Because they thought that Jennings was like a ventriloquist and he was making Howard talk.
Yeah,
and that's when Jennings finally transformed into.
He starts totally transforming into
the guy, the overlord guy.
Yeah,
at the diner tables when he actually transformed. So then he was like already kind of like evil at that point, and like not really. Oh yeah, it's true. Remember the part where when he's testing out his great powers, what he does to know he has powers at the diner table?
Yeah, because if I had superpowers and I could shoot lasers out of my eyes and destroy something or do something to prove that I have it, first thing I would do is break some glass jars of Heinz ketchup and mustard. Mm-hmm. That's what he did.
It's a great way to test your powers out.
Those are some amazing special effects, by the way.
Yeah.
Better than anything in Endgame.
Yeah, totally.
Better than anything in any MCU movie ever.
I agree. Yeah.
Yes. Makes Thanos look like shit.
He does. He makes Thanos look. And so that's what he does.
The greatest villain in any Marvel movie ever.
Yeah. So he destroys the ketchup mustard bottles.
Yes.
And then fight breaks out. Well, not fight. The biker people basically. Okay, so like this whole diner is apparently just full of savages, not just the bikers.
Yeah, they all trying to.
Well, the bikers started it, and then like everyone in the diner like joined in and like this ritual. They were like seasoning Howard, like pouring salt and pepper on him, and they were about to like cut his head.
Yeah,
off.
they're about to chop his head off. There's like a stereotypical Asian chef in there who's about to chop off his head. Yeah. We're gonna leave you a little bit of suspense right now. We're just gonna take another quick break here for a second, and then we'll come back and try to wrap this up, and then do some reviews and read some reviews of the movie and stuff too after we finish up the plot
and my quotes too,
and Matt's quotes. Yes. But yeah, and just looking at we're almost 50 minutes into this movie, or so, or a little longer than this. So we should probably take a break here. We'll be right back.
Hey folks, this is Michael E. Cullen II from the podcast that you're listening to right now, along with
Matthew Haas.
We just wanted to tell you about our great podcast called Super. It's called All2Real. And on that show, what do we do, Matt?
We watch biopics, and then we talk about whether or not the movie matched up with the real story or not.
So
it's a lot more exciting than that, though.
Yeah, so we analyze the real story and the real story.
Get it?
Get it?
Real.
Yeah, they're spelled differently, folks. You can guess which one I said which way. Anyways, so sometimes we have a guest, sometimes we don't. But we talk about great movies like Shattered Glass and The Social Network and Futile and Stupid Gesture, among others. Those are some of the ones that we've covered so far, and we're going to cover a lot more. So please subscribe on Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you find your great, fun podcasts. And be sure to share it with your friends.
Do it.
And make sure you're not afraid to get all too real. Bye-bye.
Okay, so anyways, after the fight ensues at the diner, we get these they escape somehow and they're getting to a car, but Jennings tied up Beverly in very loose knots, by the way, too. But anyways, and threw her into a semi truck or something. Oh wait, that was after there was one point where they were like driving in this semi truck.
Oh yeah, there's like the 15-minute long car chase.
Yeah, and but
way too long.
But that was bad. But there was like where Jennings and Beverly were in this truck. I mean, and he needed to get energy.
Oh god, this was disgusting.
And he has this like thing that looks like it's straight out of the movie Alien come out of his throat, which is like his tongue, and he sticks it into the cigarette lighter and he charges himself up with electricity. And then they need to get to some more energy, and then he ties her up in the car, and they're going towards some like nuclear power plant. Mm-hmm. Like it said, like the Cuyahoga County nuclear power plant, which I don't even know if there is one there. But anyways, this whole movie was shot in California, by the way, and you can see palm trees from time to time and stuff like that. Which, I mean, I've lived in Ohio my whole life, and I've never seen a palm tree here. So, they have this long car chase, which we don't need to describe because it sucked. But it was after basically Howard gets Phil, or as he calls him, Philzy, out of a cop car.
He jumps out of the
he jumps out of the window.
The window was open.
Yeah, which was hilarious.
Oh my God.
But anyways, Philzy, while he's handcuffed, ends up they end up stealing like a hang glider, like an like a motorized hang glider or something like that, and they fly that to the nuclear power plant. While Jennings is at the power plant, he's going on a tour with a bunch of other scientists or something of the power plant. And at one point, he's acting all weird, and he's talking like this because this is what you talk like when you're evil. Mm-hmm. And they think it's weird in the way he's talking and stuff, but instead of, thinking maybe he's possessed or maybe, which I wouldn't jump to that conclusion, but hey, this is a world where people don't freak out about a 3-foot duck.
Right. Some people do, but
they offer him coffee.
I know. I don't know.
It's just, but anyways, that just was weird to me. So what happens now? What it was like?
He eventually does something. I don't know, creates a disturbance. I don't remember. And then he has access to the big power thing. Howard and then Philzy, I guess, find them somehow.
Yeah, and they try to attack him.
So there's a big fight breaks out. That is another 10, 15 minute long. It's these scenes.
Yeah, these scenes just drag.
The pacing are bad.
Drag and nothing happens.
Yeah, the pacing's terrible in this movie. It's like
things drag and nothing happens. It's like an episode of Dragon Ball Z or something.
Yeah.
But
So the big fight breaks out, right? And then the Overlord, he shoots them with Beverly and Phil with this weird laser shit or something like that, making them disappear or something like that. I don't remember. Oh no, it's because he wanted her to be the host.
Yeah, he puts her he ties her up to a thing to try to. She's going to be the host of some other dark overlords.
Okay, that's right.
Yes. But anyways, to wrap things up, they end up saving the day. Howard stops this beam from bringing the overlords into Beverly's body or something, and then
he sacrifices his chance to go home.
Yeah,
to
basically
save
by that. So
yeah.
So then we end the movie with a big concert in a big arena. Or
Best
something.
song ever.
And then and they're singing a song called Howard the Duck.
Howard
the Duck.
Egotistical to sing a song about himself, but
no, he wasn't singing it.
Oh.
Beverly's in her.
But
Beverly and Cherry Bomb were. He eventually comes in.
He comes out playing guitar.
Yeah, he plays guitar during it. Yeah, and it appears that Phil is their manager now or something, or
which is weird because he was a scientist that wasn't really a scientist. He was
either that or he's just running the stage lights or something. I don't know what he's doing. But anyways, it ends with that song, and then we have our thank God credits and
yes,
stuff like that. So, do you want to read some of the beautifully wonderful quotes from this film before I get to the to some reviews from the Internet Movie Database?
Yes. So we said, I'm just gonna go down the line. The Bookum Ducko, that was great.
Yes.
When he's at his apartment on Duck World, he has a poster called "Breeders of the Lost Stork."
Yes.
We already mentioned the thing when he says he's changing, and Howard's like, "Great, like a sex change or something." It's like, nice transphobia you got there. It's awesome. And then, but he also said another thing too, because he mentioned it twice that he was changing, and then Howard then goes, "Try saying that to your insurance company." Like, what? Like, whatever. And at one point, when he was going to the science lab or whatever, and they were saying no pets allowed, and he said he was a seeing eye duck. You have the two rapey looking dudes from the beginning. Well, not just looking. They tried to assault her. The one guy saying, "I've been doing too much toot."
Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah, we talked about that one.
Oh, okay. So the Toro. So this is an interesting thing. So during the diner scene, you pointed this out about the pies.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the pies?
Okay, they're having this big fight scene, and Howard has these cream pies in his hand, and it looks like he's gonna try to throw them at these guys, but instead they kind of run towards him, and they basically plant their faces into the pies, and it makes it seem like Howard pushed them into his face. But I think because of the special effects, they basically had the actors run into the pies.
And you could see it. And it wasn't just and it was you would think that oh, the first guy does this, the other ones will learn. No, it's like 5 people straight running into pies.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but during that time, he was saying Toro, and he does this again, like later on during the whole 15-minute long chase.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, you already said Toro, you can't do it.
And is that like with is he doing this as in regards to like bullfighting where they feel that? But then there's that movie Tora, which is about Japan bombing Pearl Harbor.
Maybe he said Tora, I don't know.
But I don't know. I just wasn't sure which joke they were going for there. That's what I'm trying to
right. So
quote unquote joke. Yeah.
Right. So when Jennings got up as the Overlord, like he was sitting down for a long time, and for the longest time, Beverly and Howard cannot accept that it's not Jennings anymore. It's this Overlord, and he's been talking to them for like 5 straight minutes, telling them who he is, and they still won't accept it. They're like, come on, you gotta go help us. It's like, dude, he literally just
he's glowing over there, and you think he's gonna help you.
He's gonna destroy the world and everything, and then like so then when Howard was being seasoned by the mob of people about to kill and eat him, she's like, you gotta go help him. It's like the Overlord that said he's trying to kill you. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so then he gets up finally because she convinces him that they're making fun of him. So then that makes him get mad. And then he gets up and he's like completely like or whatever. And he's like kind of like getting like this like electric orb around him. And this guy goes, he must have had the chili. Really? So what chili makes your body have like a shroud of electricity over you? I never had electric chili before. It seems kind of interesting.
Ooh, that's a good name for a band.
Electric chili. It is actually really good.
But by the way, just to rest assure everybody, Jennings did escape okay. He the Overlord got out of his body, so he
everyone
was
was so concerned about that.
Yeah, I know they were. I was just making sure that they were concerned about the character played by a registered sex offender. Anyways,
so then he becomes like full on Electric Man at this point, and then like one of the biker guys or whatever was like, hey, like basically like doesn't even see that he's got like a blue electric orb like surrounding his entire body. So then he like shocks him with electricity. So that was that's not really a quote, but that's whatever.
Yeah.
So then now everyone is like gave up on Howard and they want to fight this guy. And apparently people just like to fight in this restaurant or whatever. So then he's like saying like your stupid typical lines like, if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen, which is weird because like if he's like some intergalactic overlord, how does he know like American phrases like that? Like that's something that you would learn like culturally over time that you wouldn't just know that, but whatever. So
yeah.
And then he goes like closing time, not the song, but like he goes.
Yeah, because this was pre-Semisonic.
Pre-Semi, which
this is back when they were a band called Electric Chili.
Right.
Yes. Wait.
So the whole car thing when Filzy jumps out of the car, and then so then there's a scene when Filzy is trying to do something with trying to fix some machine that got broken apart, and then he asks Howard for the toolbox, and then he goes, "You guys screw loose," and then at one point when he's fighting the Overlord as the Overlord, because he eventually got out of Jennings' body and just became his regular self, he says, and I'm not kidding, "Prepare to eat beak." And then I'll let you say the one when Filzy says duck, and what Howard says afterwards. I'll let you say that.
Oh, doesn't he say like, oh, I forgot. What did he say?
He goes, "I'm proud of it."
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because he was telling them to duck.
I remember laughing when it happened, but I couldn't remember the quote anymore.
Yeah, Filzy was telling him to duck. And then he goes, I'm proud
of it, yeah.
And then he goes, and then at one point he says, "I need this like I need another tail," which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, I guess the whole, like, I need this like I need another hole in my head, which makes no sense either, but it's still...
And then the Tarzan reference when he beats the Overlord. Again,
yeah.
What does it have to do with
I don't know,
anything?
he like beats his chest like a Tarzan and says,
But
yeah.
So Tarzan fought intergalactic demon space wizard people?
That was the sequel you didn't see.
So anyways, that's all I got for quotes. But,
okay, so I'm going to read a little bit of trivia here from the Internet Movie Database first, but then then we'll go into a couple reviews here that we have of the film from the Internet Movie Database as well. But according to reports at the time of the movie's release, George Lucas had just built a $50 million Skywalker Ranch complex, and was counting on this film to get him back in the black because he had. Wow. And when it bombed, he was forced to start selling off assets to stay afloat. His friend Steve Jobs, the CEO of Apple Computer, offered to help by buying Lucasfilm's newly launched CGI animation division for a price well above market value. Lucas, in desperate straits and thankful for the assistance, agreed. That division eventually became Pixar Animation Studios. So this movie is responsible for the existence of Pixar.
Wow.
So there's something good there.
Yeah, something good came out of this.
Yeah, Leah Thompson still has the guitar from Cherry Bomb.
Wow.
That she played. Eventually Howard did return to the screen in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and he's also in Endgame, people. He has a blink and you'll miss it cameo in Endgame, so look for that if you haven't seen Endgame yet. And, the suit, the Howard the Duck suit cost $2 million at the time. Wow. That George Lucas spent himself. The evil overlord is actually a villain in the comic books as well. Like I said before, it won several golden raspberries. It won for worst new star. The 6 guys and gals in the duck suit is who won. That's what it said. Worst visual effects, worst screenplay, and worst picture, tied with Under the Cherry Moon.
Wow.
Yeah. Several people auditioned for the role of Beverly, including Tori Amos. Yeah. Also, Phoebe Cates auditioned for the role. As well as other stars like Paula Abdul, Kim Basinger, Jodie Benson, who she was the voice of Ariel in The Little Mermaid, Sarah Jessica Parker, Laurie Singer. They were all considered for the role of Beverly. It was like a highly sought after role at the time, I guess. The actor who finally got the role of the voice of Howard recorded all of his lines after the film was made. So on the set, they had somebody else reading the lines. But his name was Chip Zien, who is far more well known than the other actors that auditioned for the role. John Cusack, Martin Short, and Jason Alexander, who were all turned down in favor of Chip Zien. Yes. So that's a little bit of trivia. The Dark Overlord was actually reused in the movie Men in Black as the character of Mikey in the opening scene of the movie. Yeah. So, which was made 11 years later. That's some of the trivia. Now, let's read a 10 out of 10 review of the film. Best Marvel movie ever made. And this is written in 2017 by Chris Burgach, 26. Anyways, Howard was an inspiration, a hero, best Marvel film ever, best film of 1986, best performance of Tim Robbins' career. Cherry Bomb was the best 80s band of them all. Howard, sharing a bed with Leah Thompson's Beverly, was more life-changing than Slave Leia. 1986 Howard, along with Ed Gale's signature voice. It wasn't Ed Gale, by the way, you fucking dumbass.
It's a sarcastic review.
Yeah, but Ed Gale was the guy in the suit, not the... Okay. Should have been there in the stinger for that well-received but lackluster 2014 film, Very Dark Day for All Ducks and Planets. Talking about the Howard the Duck cameo in Guardians of the Galaxy, voiced by Seth Green. Anyways, a 7 out of 10 here by somebody that didn't give their name. Oh, no, they did. Oh, here it is. It's Woody Anders 8, back in March of 2018. Much better than its poor reputation would suggest. This is an honest review, actually, here. It says, smart aleck Mallard Howard finds himself stranded on Earth. Howard befriends spunky, aspiring rock singer, blah, 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 blah. It gives me the... Okay. Director and co-writer Willard Hewitt and co-writer Gloria Katz deserve praise for joyfully running with the absurd premise. This picture certainly rates as one of the most bizarre and ridiculous big-budget movies to be produced and released by a major studio in the 1980s. Moreover, Hewitt and Katz definitely nailed the sense of go for broke, pull out all the stops, outrageous excess that permeated the 1980s. While this, for the most part, works in the film's favor, said crazy excess does on occasion go a little too far, such as the infamous love scene between Howard and Beverly comes perilously close to being icky and distasteful. I don't think it came close. I think it just fucking was. Tim Robbins contributes a lively turn as a goofy and geeky lab assistant. Richard Klein's slick cinematography, John Barry's dynamic score, and the flashy special effects are all up to par. Super catchy theme song and cool rock concert finale, too. A bit uneven and a tad overlong, but overall a real hoot and a half. This next one I don't really get. Okay, it says, a fun family film. Written by WGK 0721422. Back in December of 2018. This is an original Marvel film that is actually funny. It is not lame-laden with what Disney thinks is funny. It is actually funny and adventurous and cute and has pathos. Howard generates more sympathy than any 2018 CGI. Not a fan of the music, but the band members are cute. The whole body of this thing makes no sense based on the title, which is a fun family film. Nowhere do they describe in that thing how it's a family film. Because it's not. Okay, anyways, so we're running a little late on time here. I'm going to cut to one of the 1 out of 10 reviews. Okay. Its title is Outstanding Cult Comic plus George Lucas equals Awful Movie. This is from Vittler Furless 8, back in August of 2005. The best continuing story comic strip of the past 20 years was, in my opinion, Howard the Duck. This brooding film noir-type comic had us sneaking outside work every day at 3:30 for the Washington Evening Star just for this 3-panel strip. Howard just was not happy to find himself trapped on Earth in Cleveland, living in a slum and interacting with his sexually useless, being human rather than a foul girlfriend, Beverly. Like Groucho Marx with a bad hangover, Howard's continual rants about his rotten situation made a great comic strip. Along comes executive producer George Lucas, who strips away every single thing that provided Howard with a character, and makes him nice, worse, makes him cute, gag. If that weren't bad enough, the film has Howard and Leah Thompson's character engaging in post-sex afterglow. It was actually pre-sex, but whatever. Thus advocating human and animal sex and spitting on the Judeo-Christian ethic for the sake of an unfunny sight gag. This film is now George Lucas's dirty little secret, a part of his legacy, and worse than any of the 3 prequel Star Wars movies. Boo hiss.
Okay, but the thing is, though, yes, he was a duck, but he was a duck from a different reality that was more like a humanoid. It wasn't like she was having sex with like a duck from Earth. Yeah. So it's not really...
It wasn't like she just went to the park and there was a pond with a duck and she just decided to fuck the duck.
I shouldn't even be arguing against this person, but it's because it's stupid, but because I'm sitting here defending, but whatever. but it's not the same thing. Okay.
Yeah. So, anyways, last question here for you, Matthew, before we end this.
Sure. What's up?
Would you recommend this movie to anyone, and if so, who?
Yeah, probably just like if like for people who are like interested like in the history of like Marvel characters being turned into movies, like someone who's like either a student like at school or just someone who's like just likes to do the research on their own, but like as far as like enjoyment, probably not.
Yeah, I mean, I personally can see the cult status of this movie and why it's a cult. It's kind of like in the vein of like The Room or Plan 9 from Outer Space or one of those bad movies that you watch and you enjoy watching it. But this one, unlike those movies, does have these dragging points that make it not really worth watching even with a group of friends. I don't know. Yeah, I may or may not recommend it just depending on who you are. And yeah, the history thing is cool. Yeah. And also to kind of see the downfall of George Lucas. Anyways, so and his talents.
Well,
we can all see why Jar Jar Binks is his favorite Star Wars character.
Oh boy, I don't want to get too bad on Jar Jar Binks though.
I mean, I think
the guy who played him like wanted to kill himself.
No, but what I'm saying is, my thing with it is Ahmed Best is an amazing actor. He did an amazing job in that movie. The problem with it is the writing,
right?
And it's not just Jar Jar; it's the writing overall in that trilogy.
Yeah.
The George Lucas writing.
It was meant to be like
it was like
bad acting.
Yeah, I mean, there's these like love scenes between Anakin and Padme that are basically like really badly written Hallmark cards, and it's just, I don't know, it's bad writing all over. I have the utmost respect, and I actually think that Ahmed did the best he could, no pun intended, with his last name being Best. Anyways, he did his best, and he was just. He was good in the role, and don't get me wrong, I just think the character was badly written.
Yeah.
More than anything, and so were most of the characters in that movie.
Well, yeah, maybe, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think I'm
trying to remember because it's been.
I have more respect for that trilogy now than I'm seeing the newer ones, and I like the newer ones too. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to badmouth those, and I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and I still love those movies, and I see where they fall into the plan of things. It's just. You can see the logical leap from Ewoks to Howard to Jar Jar. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's just
because I liked Revenge of the Sith and like part of
I did too.
Part of Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, me too.
I didn't really like the Phantom Menace all that much.
No, me either. And that's what I'm saying. Where you can see the leap though from Ewok to Howard to Jar Jar.
Yeah. So,
and I mean, the issue I have with Jar Jar too, it's not anything against the actor. Like I'm saying, I just want to emphasize that if you're listening, Ahmed Best, come to our podcast. I would love to talk to you and interview you about your process of making that character. But the issue I have with it is it was like a animated character in the like Roger Rabbit vein, stuck in the middle of a sci-fi movie, and it just didn't really work. That's all. And pretty much, I think that Howard the Duck is very similar in the fact that it just doesn't work because it doesn't know what the fuck it wants to be. It's not a kid's movie. It's not an adult movie. Who is their target audience? That's what I just don't get.
George Lucas was the target audience.
Yeah.
It was for himself.
He hired his friends to...
A passion project.
Yeah. I mean, the good news is I'm pretty sure that the couple that wrote this movie are still together, so
well, that's cool.
There are happy endings. And so, speaking of happy endings, we're running at like over an hour here.
This is like the longest one we have, and it's got to be Howard the fucking Duck.
Yeah,
sorry guys.
There's a lot to talk about in Howard the Duck, unfortunately.
So, any parting words for you?
I don't know what exactly to say. Any good quacks from you?
Just a message to the kids out there: don't do any toot.
Yep.
Don't do that toot.
Toot is bad for you.
Whatever it is, don't do it.
Can't do good quack foo on toot.
Right.
Bye bye.
And don't be afraid to get all too real
Toot.
Thanks for listening to All2ReelToo podcast, a Cullen Park production. Produced and edited by Michael E. Cullen II. Music by Matthew Hawes. Subscribe and share the show. Visit us at cullenpark.com.